Many nefarious groups are operating in the 5 American regions of Red Dead Redemption 2. Each of them has its own objectives, territories, and ways of surviving. As they all harm innocent people, none of the gangs can be considered truly honorable. Yet certain crews are a lot more wicked than others. But which gang is the most despicable and evil of the bunch? The Vander gang likely has the highest body count on this list, so why would they be ranked so low? After some debate, their motivations must be taken into account. They desperately want to be left alone, and their most violent actions are spurred on by those who won't let them be. Are they murderers and thieves? Absolutely. But it's reasonable to say that in the right situation, they wouldn't feel the need. Those higher up on the list have much more choice in their crimes, but the Vander gang seems content to find a nice camp with lots of food, great views, and plenty of money to own the land legally. The Laramie Boys. They are hired corporate guns, tasked with bullying, robbing, and murdering farmhands to intimidate rival ranches from competing with their employers. As hired guns, they manage to keep a low, but not insignificant body count. Still, everyone is responsible for their own actions, so the Laramie Boys don't get a pass on their crimes, even if they are somewhat small-time compared to those higher up on the list. Picking on people just looking for their goats is a dastardly way to run a business. The gang's characteristics and actions in the game, including intimidation, assassination, etc., reflect those of gunmen hired typically by large ranches during the early 1890s in Wyoming's infamous Johnson County War, which has been a popular basis for countless Western novels, films, and television shows. Next are the Lobo Gang. In the epilogue, the Lobos take advantage of the minimal law enforcement around New Austin to cause all sorts of carnage. They raid towns, rob trains, and are generally a constant menace in the region, so look out while visiting Dutch's mother's grave. The Lobo Gang, in several respects, resembles the real-life 5 Joaquin's gang. Similarly, it was perceived to have been led by predominantly Mexico-born men who were family members. While their specialty is thieving, they're not above executing anyone who gets in their way. Their willingness to use lethal force is evident if John Marston travels down to their domain, as they always attack him. The only admirable trait the group has is their loyalty to each other, as evidenced when a bunch of them risk their lives to break fellow member Ramon Cortez out of jail. ODriscoll Boys. These boys are the long-standing rivals of the Vander gang. Both groups are similar in what they do, however the O'Driscolls are far crueler. Their leader, Colum, has no loyalty to any of his underlings, as he sees them all as expendable. Yet, he treats deserters very harshly. That's clear when the group decapitates former member Kieran Duffy. The violence isn't just saved for old allies. The gang slaughters anyone who interferes in their business, regardless of age or gender. While most of the gang seems to be American, a significant portion of it is made up of Irish immigrants who have strong accents and common Irish names, such as Patrick and Seamus. Indeed, Colum himself appears to be of Irish descent, and the gang's color seems to be green, which is often associated with Ireland. The O'Driscoll Boys, in several respects, resemble the real-life Dalton gang, sometimes known as the Dalton Boys or Dalton Brothers, and its successor, the larger Doolin-Dalton gang, regarded as the original Wild Bunch, which in turn was a separate entity entirely from Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch. The Nightfolk. There was some thought about putting the Nightfolk lower on this list because they seem mindless. In-game, they are treated like zombies with their mannerisms and attack styles, but it's clear by the corpses they leave. They're capable of higher thought, art, and empathy. Not able to blame their atrocities on mental illness, the Nightfolk are therefore responsible for the senseless violence conducted against innocent travelers. Try to avoid them when hunting down the legendary bullgator. The Murph Brood. Like the Nightfolk, the Murph Brood also resembles savages more than a conventional outlaw gang. Murphys are even more depraved, though, as along with killing people, they also torture them. Plus, they capture women to keep in cages and assault at their leisure. Adding apparent sexual assault to the usual murder and thieving is a good way to move up this list. The army is afraid to enter their territory due to their viciousness. Some gangs have higher body counts, but only because the Murph Brood is known and feared. The Murph brood do appear to have a particular dislike of city folk, as they are often seen robbing people who come from the larger cities in the east. In addition, the brood appear to be opposed to the ever-growing industrialization of the local area. Unlike other outlaw gangs like the ODriscoll Boys, the Murphys don't carry any valuables, and players mostly receive cigarettes, tonics, and herbs from looting them. Another difference is that the Murphys don't camp in the wilderness. Instead, players usually encounter the Murphys while they are looting a traveler's camp. The Murph brood have a number of similarities to Boone Helm, infamously known as the Kentucky Cannibal. Helm was known to be a troublesome individual who briefly ran a six-man gang. Helm was notorious for robbing people and consuming their flesh, and showing little to no remorse for his actions. The Skinner brothers are next on the list in second place. Most of the gangs in the game murder for financial gain, yet the Skinner brothers seem to do it for fun. The beasts move from place to place and brutalize every person they can find, then use their body parts as decorations. Victims don't even receive quick deaths. The gang sadistically tortures them in various ways before they die, such as dragging them around using a wagon or roasting them on top of a fire. Every one of them seems to get a sick pleasure from hurting people. They truly are monsters, and not even finding the medieval knight helmet can save their victims from their gruesome experiments. If the player kills a lot of the Skinner brothers in Red Dead Redemption 2, they will actually fear the player, who can overhear them sharing their worries in their enemy camps, saying things such as, "He can slit us in our sleep for all we know." And the most despicable and evil gang of the bunch are the Lemoyne Raiders Confederate soldiers. They already carry the stench of racism and slavery with them, so it doesn't take much to see why they're so high on the list. But it's not just these ideologies, it's their barbaric practices disguised as some kind of sick, free world that gets them even higher on this list. They are frequently shown executing and extorting every kind of person on the roads. They act like people are on their territory, but they know full well that they are the ones who fled here, escaping their defeats. Good luck avoiding them when finding the amputated arm mission. Outlaws by nature, the group is also violent, being known for murders and robberies of Northerners, government officials, and law-abiding citizens alike throughout Lemoyne. They are extremely territorial and vengeful, prone to launching retributions against those who antagonize them. Their superior arms and training make them more dangerous than most gangs, as they will organize effective ambushes against the player instead of chaotically attacking them on sight. The Lemoyne Raiders share similarities with the real-life Quantrill's Raiders, a pro-Confederate militia active during the American Civil War, of which Jesse James and his brother Frank James had served as members of.